Alright, so if you're wanting to cut something on the Graphtec, you start by just preparing your materials. So right here, I'm just cutting my vinyl and making sure that it's the size that I want. If you were doing stickers, on the other hand, you'd just print that and make sure that it was ready to go. And then once that's done, we're going to set the height of the Graphtec with our material. So we'll take this little orange block thing and put it underneath the Graphtec head. And then there's these two little screws on either side that we loosen. Once we've loosened them, we let it just rest on the orange block and tighten them. Super straightforward and simple. Alright, so once we've set the height for the machine, we're going to want to change the blade. And we want the blade to be long enough to cut our material, but not so long that it cuts the table. And so we're going to set that here. We can just turn the little thing at the bottom and that will either raise the blade up or down. In case it's hard for you to see, there's this little tool that can help you visualize it. Sometimes it's a little blurry, but it can help. So once you have your blade set to an amount that you think is good, we'll just test it on the corner of here. And you'll just press down and slide, and that will give you a good idea if it's going to cut through or not. So right here you can see that it's marked on the back, and if I press it, it actually comes apart. So we don't want this with vinyl. And to fix this, I'll just lower the blade by rotating it. And then we can go ahead and test this again and see if it cuts through. So you can see that it didn't mark up the back, which is good, but it did cut through the vinyl on the top, which is what we want. So now we know that our material is set to a good height, where we know it will cut our material the way we want it to, but it won't cut through the vinyl backing or cut the table. After the blade height has been fixed and everything, you can put the blade in the machine. We'll loosen it and make sure that the little black thing slides into place, and then we'll tighten it. Moving the tool head for the Graphtec is important and also pretty self-explanatory. So the 4 arrows in the center of the control panel will move it to anywhere on the table. This paper isn't the material that I'm going to be cutting, but I'll use it here so that it's a little easier to see what's going on. We want to tell the machine where to actually start cutting, and to do this, we generally want the blade to be lined up pretty close to the bottom left-hand corner of the material. So we'll move the tool head, and once you've got it lined up where you want it, press the origin point at the top right corner, and that will save the point as the starting place for cutting. Alright, and then for this part, we just want to make sure that all of the settings are consistent and everything. So the Graphtec has different conditions, and what those are just little codes that tell the machine what to cut. And generally when we're cutting, we want to keep it on condition number 1. But we can go through the different conditions if we wanted to and change it. So if we scroll through the different conditions, you can see that there's different options, but again, we'll just stick with condition number 1. And if you wanted to double check that your blade was set to the right height, you could perform a cut test and you'll just press the left arrow and it would cut a little triangle for you. So we'll go back to the main menu, and if you wanted to double check the condition or change it faster, you can also hold down this enter button, and that lets you quickly select all of the conditions. But again, we'll just keep it on condition number 1. Okay, so now we're finally ready to start cutting. We'll turn on the Graphtec fan down here, and you can see that this starts like this suction force, which pulls our material against the table and helps it to cut well. Sometimes when we do this, we don't get quite the section that we need, and so our material doesn't stick right on the table. And we can kind of combat this with this paper. So we'll pull out the paper, and as long as a lot of the holes on the table are covered, it helps it to stick better to the table. And once that's all good to go, you would go over to the computer to Cutting Master 5, where your file has already been set up, and you would press the output button, and that will start the Graphtec immediately with cutting. I should note that there's a slightly different process when you're cutting stickers, but I'll go over that more in the sticker section. Once the Graphtec has done its job, the machine will stop and we can turn off the fan, and that's it. That's the whole process for setting up the Graphtec.